Power to the People is an NGO that is based in Berkeley. The founder is Janine Smith. She was a Peace Corps volunteer in Nicaragua. So after that experience, she came back to the United States and she said, well, I have to do something for these people. And Nicaragua is one of the poorest countries in Latin America. There's like 50 or 40% of the people that doesn't have access to electricity. So she started this NGO in 2008. The mission of the NGO is bring solar electricity, solar power for community buildings in developing countries. Hopefully some of you would like to be more involved in some of the activities that we are doing.
My name is Shao. I'm a volunteer with Power to the People. I've been a volunteer for about maybe less than a year, and I recently went on a trip that happened last December, and it was one of the best things that happened in 2011 for me. The goal of the trip was to bring the donated the solar panels to a school in a rural community in Nicaragua, and the goal was to install the system and interact with the community, have a cultural exchange, experience between volunteers and the local community. After 3 days in the community and the project ended, we spent the rest of the trip just touring the country and learning about Nicaragua. This is the community, the rural community that we went to, and it was around a volcano crater. And this community was pretty high up. It is totally off-grid. Most people have used electricity from a source of a car battery. This is outside of the school. So the community only has one school. So we're using the panels, sun charged up from the sun, and then converting it to AC using these electrical wires, and then into an outlet, which outputs electricity to become light. These are batteries to charge the inverter that are inside the building, because it takes an inverter to be able to convert solar power into AC power, and so that's the battery station outside it. The organization since 2008 has installed about 6 of these projects. So we decided to incorporate a new component to the project to add a station that allows them to charge communities' batteries that they already have, and then use it as a way for people to be able to continue to use battery and as a source of income for the project so that it can maintain itself.
That basically, when we talk about maintain the system, is in some point, like probably 7 years, 5 years, you have to replace the batteries that are not cheap. Also, you have to buy water to add to the batteries every month. So those are the things that you have to really, you need money to maintain the system.
It was really great to have local community members who are actually interested enough to, be helping in the installation process, and everyone was really, really thrilled to have us and to see us there, and a number of them, including teachers and leaders in the community, got their hands dirty and actually worked with us to install the system.
I'm from Zimbabwe, but did my studies for architecture in London at the University of Greenwich. My main interests, of course, are things, mainly issues that are in Zimbabwe and other areas in Africa, including urban agriculture. So that's what I'm just showing here on my slide here, is that I've done a bit of research on urban agriculture problems, mainly in the city of Harare. I've also looked at ways in which we can improve construction methods in Africa, and I've looked at urban agriculture in London as well. So all of these were university projects as well as competition entries I did. As you can see on the map, Bulawayo is the second largest city in Zimbabwe, and it is located in the southern part of the country, which is roughly about 6 hours drive away from Harare, which is the capital city. This is a map showing the site. Now, the area outlined in red is the land that was donated from Bulawayo City Council for our center host, which is grassroots soccer. Grassroots soccer, we've done projects for them before, mainly Kailicha, and they wanted to have a project in Zimbabwe where the local non-profit began. The size of the land is 5.5 hectares, so it's quite a big land donation. Just quickly showing you here what's happening on the site. I've highlighted, obviously the main issues on there as well as what's around it. So you can see it's in a high density area of the country, of the town Bulawayo. The area is called Luveve, and it's located on the northwest part of the city. They're also planning to expand one of the main roads, which is right at the end of the site. As well as that, the main issue that I came across when I went for the site visit is that they actually have a high pressure water pipe which is leaking in 2 areas on the site. So that's something I'm looking into at the moment to see how we can design the center around these kind of issues. What I've done here is just to show the number of high schools and primary schools in the area, as well as the main public transport routes, which is marked in red. And this area just around the site where you see all these blue arrows here, it's just showing the type of pedestrian activity happening around the site. At the moment, the main things that happen on the site, people do a lot of urban agriculture. This is something you'll see if you visit Zimbabwe, that a lot of people like farming, even if they live in urban areas. And I've just highlighted where the site is, that we're actually going to place the Football for Hope Center. That's just along the main road, and what they've done in this area is that they have a secondary dirt road where a lot of people walk around, and there's a lot of children who play sort of games and stuff on there. Now they already service children who go to school, but there's quite a lot of children who don't go to school for various reasons, and they wanted their program to extend to those children. So part of what my challenge is and what I need to do with my design is to make sure that it's accessible to the community around there, as well as giving it a design that's attractive to any of the children so that they might come and see what's happening there. So yeah, at the moment I'm on the schematic design stage. So I'm looking into ways of how I can infuse the local material, culture, as well as what the center host needs for the design. Although I said that the site is bland, the building themselves, what I notice is that the actual walls themselves for the different houses, they seem to have tried to infuse some of these traditional patterns onto the boundary walls. And I feel like that's a local expression, a way of trying to put some of their cultural elements onto their home, so to speak, or give it some sort of personalized touch. The reason why I'm showing you this is it's quite a cheap but I feel attractive way of doing this, of using the surrounding stones and concrete and creating these kind of patterns. So that's something that is definitely something I would like to infuse in my project. This map really is just my first stages of the site analysis. What I've done here is I've looked at the pedestrian routes, because I mean that's the main thing about the whole design, is the circulation of people, to see how we can put our design to match that. So this is just showing you how people use the site and the main transport routes, as well as the desire lines across the site and where the retail market areas are. And that's the first render of what the building will look like, which is something I'm going to be developing as I go along.
I'm Brazilian and I'm also half Spanish. And I came to San Francisco like 3 weeks ago for a job interview, and I met Medium. And we were talking about architecture for humanity, and she said I could stop by and meet you guys. And then I volunteered, and I'm here. So maybe it was meant to be. This is my final project for my undergrad school. It's a container. I was using used shipping containers to develop a housing system, because Rio has a big port and we have abandoned containers everywhere. So I was trying to develop this, I call it a contemporary habitat quest, because I think the way we live today is really old-fashioned. The way we design houses, I mean. So it doesn't match the way we live, the way the family's changed and everything. So I did this project, and I got an honorable mention in a competition called Architects of Tomorrow from the Institute of Brazilian Architects. This is a concert house I worked, and it was funny because I was the only woman working with 100 men, and I was in charge. It was the first time I was in charge of anything. It was nice. And this is, the government of Rio decided to remodel all their schools and put air conditioners inside every single classroom. It was interesting because the schools were inside the favelas in Rio mostly. And I learned a lot from that, you know, because the interests were so different. If you talk to the government, if you talk to the student. So now that I'm here, I'm going back to Brazil next Saturday to start working in this project. Maybe Alex, you want to join?
So part of the Game Changers grant funding last January, there were some pretty devastating floods about 90 miles west of Rio. You can see the map there. That's the Petropolis state. They're rebuilding some housing. I think about 10% of the community lost their house. So Firjan, which is a federation of industries, and a couple other community partners, they're developing right now 61 new housing units for people who are still displaced. And then I think there's another 100 that's also planned. So our project is going to be a small sports community center within that bigger housing development. And Carolina's going to lead the design over the next 3 months, working with the partners there and some of the community members.
I think what's interesting about this project is that those gray little houses, well, that's a housing project that is going on right now. And we're going to build this sports facility there, but the community is not there yet. So they're still deciding who gets the houses, and so it's going to be interesting. But what we know is that the people that are going to live there, they're mostly older people.
Part of the idea is that, I mean, it's a really, really beautiful site, and the views are like, oh, but it's amazing. So a place, you know, like it's going to become a go-to place, and a place to recreate and have fun.